Hello and welcome to the Intuitive Femme Network. On today's episode, we are speaking with special guest Rachel Farnsworth, and she is here to teach us all about how effective hypnotherapy is and ways that you can start practicing it in your own life. Stay tuned. All right, so Rachel, tell us about yourself.
Hi, thank you for letting me be here. It's a pleasure. Thank you. Well, I am a multi-award winning transformational therapist and wellness coach, specializing in releasing anxiety, autoimmune disease, and other long-term health issues, chronic conditions. And my story really all begins with my daughter. And she had juvenile idiopathic arthritis when she was a year old. That's what she was diagnosed with, which is arthritis in children with no known cause. I got no idea that even children got that.
Yeah.
10,000 are diagnosed, 10,000 children in the UK alone every year. So it's quite normal, really, but it wasn't normal in our world. And so we were going down the medical route, and my daughter Emily was taking all the medication. It started on tablets, and then it went on to the needle self-injecting as she got older, and anti-sickness medicine and all that sort of thing. But that didn't work. She was sick, violently sick every weekend. And that's really what we were doing. We were doing all the stuff that the doctor said for 14 years, thinking that that was the only solution, because it's called alternative therapy and complementary. And I bought into that was just a nice to have, like a back massage, and not actually the real deal, right? So that's where I was. But Fix You by Coldplay was on the radio every time we went to the hospital. And I used to send a silent prayer, please, can somebody just knock me around the head if there's a solution? Because I don't know where to look. I don't know what to Google. I don't know what to do, so I'm just in the dark. Anyway, it was 2017, I think, when I decided I was going to train as a counsellor, because my second marriage was falling apart, and rather than focusing on me, what else could I let me help somebody else, right? So I decided to do this counselling thing. People pleaser, that was my old pattern. So I was going to do the counselling, but how funny the universe is when it gave me this other thing, because in the first year you had to do hypnotherapy. Now, if someone has told me you need to train in hypnotherapy, I'd have just gone, no, you can't make me, it's just not for me. Yeah. But because this counselling course was the cherry at the end of the thing, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just sleepwalk through this hypnotherapy thing, and then I'll do the counselling. But I can't find anything better than the course I'd enrolled for. Now, what really happened was that hypnotherapy really took my attention, and I ended up training in advanced hypnotherapy and the basic one that I found on this course. And I actually got a refund of the counselling thing, because I found I didn't need that when I could do it at the root. So I just qualified in June 2018. Still no real thing of what I was going to do with it except file the certificate, and that was about it. Anyway, it was June 2018, and in the October of the same year, my daughter had a flare-up of the autoimmune disease. She'd been in drug-induced remission for 2 years. They'd said, come off the drugs, see what happens. She may have outgrown it. We were so excited at that prospect. Only that's not what happened, because 8 weeks, just 8 weeks of not taking the drugs, she started having a flare-up in her left knee, and they were making noises about, you need to go on different medication, or you might find it's more powerful drugs this time, meaning more side effects. And my daughter and I just looked at each other in that doctor's room and just said, I can't do this again. And they said, but there's no alternative. This is all there is. And anyway, so we went home, had a chat, and I said to Emily, you know what? I know other people have had amazing results with hypnotherapy. I know I'm not them, but what if we have a session every week for 52 weeks, or as long as it takes? If I can help you reduce your pain, isn't that worth it? And she goes, yeah, I guess, Mum. Yeah, she's 14. She's not there. Anyway, she agreed, and that was the most important thing. So we went upstairs, and it was very much hypnotherapy by numbers, because it was the first real session I'd done since being, I'd done the practice stuff, but this was the first thing with real intention of what the outcome was. So it was very much step-by-step therapy by numbers. So first relax the client, second regress back. So I regressed back, but it wasn't that really hit the nail on the head. It was finding the reason, aim, plan and goal behind it. Because even when we don't want these things, the subconscious mind thinks it's of use or benefit. So we found out that she needed pain to be like everybody else. That's what that resulted in. And I'm like, well, I'm very how does that help? Who is your everybody? I don't understand. And so she said, well, Mum, don't you remember you had your thyroid removed when I was a year old? I went, oh yeah, that's true. And she'd seen me with like staples in my neck, stitches sort of thing. And so I had got a lot of pain then. And her brothers and cousins had all got pain of their own as well at that time. So my son had got asthma, and the other cousins had got, illnesses and stuff as well, like long-term disease and stuff. They're all better now, but they weren't at the time. So when you in a session, I said, but they're okay now. The only person who's got pain is you. And even if that wasn't true, you don't need pain to connect to them. You've got other ways, you're far more. And she could see that. So she was able to let go of it in that session when she understood it consciously, why it was there. And she's been pain-free, symptom-free and medication-free since then, which is over 6 years now.
Wow.
And so if I can do that without knowing what I was really doing, so curious about, this is exciting. Help other people and see what happens. And we got through, I worked with a lady with PTSD, another guy with psoriasis, and that didn't take long to really shift the gears for those two either. And so that was where my passion came in. It's like, well, this stuff works. This wasn't a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
This is the real deal. And I've been doing it ever since.
That is amazing. It really is fascinating how powerful our minds really are. And that is something, as someone who also works with self-sabotage more in what we create in our external reality, it really is so eye-opening when we can get into those sessions and we help the client get to kind of the origin, right, of this belief. And it's like, I didn't even know I had that belief. It seems so weird. It seems like such an odd thing. And once we kind of figure that out and get there, it's like we pop a bubble or something. Why have I thought that? Why have I been doing that? And so I find that so incredible that you're even being able to help people get a result with their health and with their physical body. I think that is just absolutely incredible. And it saddens me, honestly, that it's not something that's more normalized and talked about, because
it should be normal. This is what's really going on.
Like, how many people are out there that are suffering and struggling, and they don't know that there are resources and solutions out there for them. And there's a lot of evidence. It's not just, we're sitting here having a conversation. There's so much scientific, peer-reviewed research out there about hypnotherapy, about even quantum physics, about the power of our mind and our beliefs. And
absolutely. Bruce Lipton, Dolores Cannon, Bessel van der Kolk. Oh, there's so many people. Louise Hay, all of these people, you know. And even I've written a book now because I wanted people to understand that the body speaks the truth and the language is pain and symptoms. It's like a warning light on a vehicle's dashboard, you know. If you've got no air in your tires, or you've got no gas in your, petrol or whatever in there, you're going to get a warning light on the dashboard, right? And as soon as you put the gas in the car, or you fill the tires up with air, the warning light goes off, doesn't it? The same happens with your body. So once you've released the emotions that are causing the pain, because where the symptoms are in your body tells a deeper story as well. So it's nothing's random. So, and that's why decoding the body's messages, unlock your wisdom to heal, is as well. It's actually won Prestige Award for Central England as the book of the year last year. and I was nominated to Author of the Year by Women in Business as well, so which is amazing. But the thing is, so there's a thank you, but it's all about our beliefs. You know, that the book talks about the 3 core beliefs that wound us, which is you're not enough, you know, and you're not worthy, and you're not deserving of love, and all that sort of thing. And then in the book as well, I talk about the A to Z of ailments. So not every ailment is in the book, otherwise I'd still be writing it. There's a great flavour in there, like arthritis, anxiety, autoimmune disease, boils, chronic conditions, chronic fatigue, constipation, and it goes on and on. Even your fingers, infections, infertility, insomnia, itching, and just there's a big chapter about what the body is talking to you about and what it's telling you and what the emotions are behind it. Then I've shared my story so that people can see how toxic relationships and you know, complete victim mode was me, and now how I'm not that. So it just shows you, because I've worked with hypnotherapy on myself because I know how powerful it is. So any issue I have, it's like I need someone to have a session with. And then the unlocking section of the book is powerful as well, because it's the one thing knowing, okay, you know, I've got knee problems, that means I can't move forward in life. But it's then how do I shift it? Trauma makes us disassociate from ourselves. So if a teacher says you're stupid at school, you just go, oh, well, don't, you know, well, I'm no good at maths and I'm not this and that. And so you sort of hide that part of yourself away, and you become like a fragmented mirror. And so that's disassociating from yourself. So the solution to that is self-love, loving all of you. And that's healing. That helps you feel whole and complete, right? And so the unlocking section teaches you there's how to love yourself. And so there's QR codes and links in there to help you. There's videos, there's journals, there's meditations as well, unlocking, all that sort of thing, and the Ho'oponopono prayer as well, to shift and change so that you can start believing in yourself, because that is the magic ingredient, really.
It really is. I feel like that at the end of the day, it really is that getting to a point of spiritual and soul evolution where we fully and completely love and accept ourselves. And we've been able to release all judgment, all programming that isn't our own.
Yes.
I think what you're saying is so profound and so beautiful, because when we are constantly living in a state of stress or fear or trauma, we are in our hindbrain. We're in that amygdala. And that part of our brain is disconnected from that prefrontal cortex, from reasoning, from our higher self, from higher consciousness, intuition, and all of that. And so the prefrontal cortex is where our personality is. That's where we are. That's where, again, that intuition, our soul, like who we truly are is. And the longer we stay in that hind brain, the more disconnected from ourself we become. That's why when we're triggered and activated, we're not ourselves. How often does something happen and we get activated and then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Or why did I say that? Or I can't believe I ended this relationship. Or I can't believe I just quit my job.
That's because your 4-year-old self came out to play, because she's like, oh, you know.
Right, because you operated from fear.
Yeah. Operating from your wounded part. That's why. So when you're healed, it's amazing. Absolutely. And that's when you get more, when you, like you were saying, when you're out of alignment, that's when your body starts speaking to you in your pain and symptoms. It's telling you you're not in your soul self, you're in your ego, and you're in your hurting, and you're in your wounded parts. That's what it's telling you. So when we heal, because mind, body, spirit, you cannot separate all 3 of them. They are all one. So that's why holistic stuff works, because you're working with the whole.
Yes.
And not just the symptom of it. The symptom of it's drawing your attention to it. Let's have a look at the stuff behind it. Where did it begin? And it probably began way before the symptoms began. You know, it's about going back to, oh, well, I'm 4 and I'm at school and the teachers told me I'm stupid, and that must be true because you're the teacher and I'm the kid. Right. And so that feeling worthy, we are worthy just by being on the planet, aren't we? And yet we don't feel like that. We need it because of the bank account or the handbag we've got or the car we've got on the drive or whatever it is our worthiness, is how we perceve it. But actually, we're worthy just because we're here. So when you know that and you accept that and you can see that as the real truth, the I'm not enough wound doesn't really hold any water. And yet it's the predominant thing behind it. I'm not enough is a big wound in us. And so when we see it for what it is, it's just a lie, basically. It's a false truth. You believed it to be true for whatever happened in the past, whether it was something your mum said, something your sibling said, or something that your friends said, but it would have happened over and over, and it just erodes like a rock. That wind, it just erodes that belief, and it's just reinstating it because it's still true. You're more than enough just because you're here. So clearing all the old stuff, the old beliefs, the old emotions behind it allows you to be in your sparkly self, which is your soul essence of who you are.
I love that.
Don't feel like that because of the trauma we've gone through. So that doesn't sparkle, doesn't it? But when you release all that old stories, you see yourself as who you are. That is your confidence, your self-belief, your self-worth, self-trust, your soul self. And from that point of view, you start radiating differently. Your vibration raises higher.
Your standards change, what you tolerate.
That's what you tolerate, and your boundaries. All of that gorgeous stuff. Because, yes, absolutely. So that's really what's going on. Your body's just talking to you.
I love what you were saying about the dashboard light. We have a lot in common with the type of work that we do, and I actually use that analogy a lot as well. But I had not thought about it. Again, you're much more in the body, and I focus more on the external. And so with that kind of dashboard light analogy, can you kind of dive into that a little bit more? The body really is communicating to us when we're more in an unconscious state of mind, because I thought that was really profound. I've had people ask me, well, how do I know if I'm self-sabotaging? How do I know if I'm constantly operating in a way that's not aligned with me? And so I feel like that, what you just said with that is like, that's your dashboard light to tell you. Because if you're not seeing it in what you're creating in your reality, your body sure as heck is going to want to get your attention. And so it sounds like that's
right. Well, both of those things, Nancy, to be true, if you're not happy with what the reality is in your outside world, is because there's a subconscious belief in there that's made you believe that you're not worthy of it, or don't deserve it, or the other story, right? Yes, right. So because how we manifest all the time. So we're manifesting disease, even though, that sounds a bit harsh, but it's true because it's our thoughts and beliefs.
And it's not harsh though, because it's not.
No, it's just not what we've been told. No, it's not at all.
What your daughter said, I mean, that early in her life to pick up on these things around her and what was going on with everyone else. Her fault that
it wasn't. None of it's our fault. No, but it is our responsibility. But and the thing is, well, I think it's beautiful when you know that you can take responsibility. It's not an out there solution. The solution is within you. Isn't that powerful?
Isn't that amazing, right?
The magic. You can shift it. You don't have to suffer it. Let's just see what beliefs are there, see what pain is there, so that you can understand and release it. It's just for the body. I'll give you a basic thing then, really, of what the body is saying. If you think anything on the right hand side, is in the now moment. So it's telling you there's something in the present, the right here, right now. Our bodies are so literal, right? And on the left, it's something in the past. So it's about what you're not focusing on and what you're not seeing. What have you turned a blind eye to, perhaps, as you're through childhood. So we switch that off, how we switch our hearing off. What don't you want to hear? Again, if it's in the right side, it's something in the now. You know, maybe it's a toxic relationship that you're in. You don't want to hear your partner doing the nagging, right?
Yeah.
Maybe
yeah.
it's
Who does?
parents or something. And that is how it works. Our necks are about not seeing everything in all directions. So there's a 360-degree thing that you're not looking at. You're looking at it life through a very narrow lens, and your body's inviting you to see it in a bigger perspective, like from a bird's eye point of view. Or shoulders are about burdens, so you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. So it can be from the current time, the present, or the past, or both. Your back is about feeling unsupported. So that's what that's about. I'm trying to think of a word, but it's escaped me at the moment. Our arms are about holding on to stuff that we need to be letting go of. So emotionally, our elbows are our love joint. So, you know, if there's a problem there, that's telling you there's something about love. Hips and legs are about not being able to move forward. So there's stuff emotionally that we're struggling with to move on. Digestive issues are about pushing our emotions down rather than processing them. So all of that is what's going on. It's just, and that's what Decoding the Body's messages talk about in the A to Z. It's giving it in a more detailed thing, like acne, because our skin is the barrier between ourselves and the outside world. So it's telling us, will you please notice that I'm in pain? You know, or your face is about the mask you wear. So if you've got acne or something, it's about, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel, you know, don't look at me.
Yeah, like, don't look at me. Like, I don't feel safe. Like, I don't want to be looked at.
Isn't it awful, though, when you feel like not worthy, and yet you've got this acne, and you feel even less worthy when you've got that. But it just manifests what you believe. So, but it's fine. We can shift it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to a little bit. Something I talk about, I don't like put it out there all the time, but I do openly talk about how I have always struggled with hair loss. It has always been a challenge for me ever since I was about 19, 20. My hair started falling out in just handfuls, and then it would stop after a couple of months, and it always grew right back. But my hair has become, it's impossible to grow it long, and it goes in these cycles where it's like all of it, like, I mean, it's like a lot of it, so it'll thin down a lot, and then it grows back, and that has just been an ongoing cycle of mine. And I've always known that there is something root cause wise, but I have yet to be able to get to it. And as someone who works with subconscious beliefs and who works in that realm, I am a huge proponent that what I say is we can't read our own label, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
To help us get to the bottom of that. I don't know if you're open to kind of doing an example for the audience.
Yes, absolutely. Well, that's in my book as well, hair. So it's about feeling powerless. But I'll read what it says. It says, if you think of a lion with its mane, you think of a very powerful animal. Hair represents power. So hair loss is powerlessness.
Wow.
A loss of connection with yourself and the outside world, and holding on to lots of tension and trauma.
Wow. You know, it's so interesting because even as a kid, I couldn't grow my hair long. I was like bald until I was like 3. Always been something. And one of the things that I came in with from either, again, from past life or inherited, I had past life memories from as early as I can remember, having memories of a man. His name is Michael. It's actually what my book series is inspired by. But I remember sitting in front of my nightlight and having these memories of him and just praying and crying and being like, where are you? Why am I here? Why did you abandon me? Why did you leave me? Are you coming back? And so it was like this very deep core wound of, I have no power. I've been abandoned. I've been rejected. I don't want to be here. I want to be there with you. Why am I here? So this is fascinating to me to learn that there is a connection most likely with that. And that's actually what has inspired my entire soul's purpose. My business started with me writing my books from that story. And then it transpired into me putting the books out, people saying, I have memories like that too. I've never talked to anyone about that. And then me sitting there going, well, we need to talk about this. So that's where my business started. And
amazing. Interestingly, I deal with past life as well, because how we do one thing is how we do it. Also, the subconscious mind knows. So past, present, I also do future life. So you can see yourself in 6 months, 10 years, wherever you want to be, so that you get your future self to download and tell you. So it was a really great conversation. How did you get here? What did I do? Why am I living there? All that sort of stuff. Yeah. It doesn't mean that's absolutely going to happen, because you've still got free will, but it gives you a flavor. And if you don't like it, you can still change it. But it's giving you a great incentive, and that's how I got my title of my book as well, going into the future. Yeah. But it's interesting because in my book I also talk about a similar kind of story, because when I remember being in the womb, and I also remember coming in and out, like going up. I mean, it felt like I was going up, and I was changing my mind. I don't want to be here. I've changed my mind. I can't do this. You can't make me. I can't. This is too scary. I don't want to do this. And then like, no, sorry, it's too late. Yeah. And it's interesting as well, because my mum had 2 miscarriages before me. So I do wonder whether I'd like bailed out.
Before, I've actually gotten that from spirit. Like when I inquire about stuff, that's actually.
Yes. And it's interesting. Yes. Yeah. I've worked with a client who miscarried, and her daughter said, well, Mum, you just weren't ready. You weren't ready at that point.
And come back later
then I'm here now. So yeah, I agree with you. But I in this memory that keeps flashing in and out, that's done it since I was a child, there was a thing where I was going to reincarnate or whatever with this other person. We were going to come in together. I have this feeling it was a he, and he changed his mind and said, no, actually, I'm going to go off. But we do meet halfway through your life. But I'm going to go off because it's going to mean a better journey soul-wise. It's got deeper. It's more expansive for my soul. So bye, I'll see you later. And I went, no, we promised this is the only reason I promised I would do this, because I thought you were going to hold my hand all the way through.
Wow.
And so, like you, that feeling of abandonment, that feeling of I shouldn't be here, that feeling of why have I, that.
Yes.
Absolutely, I can resonate with you completely.
It's so wild. And again, I would love for those that come across this and watch this to like tell us in the comments, right?
And
do you have memories like this?
Yes, exactly. I have not made it up because it's in my book, so it just proves.
Yeah, and we're going to make sure to link how to get your book.
Yeah, so it's true. There's so much more to us than just what meets the eye. We're so much more than just our body, and our bodies are amazing because they're talking to us. When we understand the language, it can help you, like you said, do what create the reality you want, because it's just we manifest it all, don't we?
Yes. Yeah, and that's it really is empowering when we truly understand that, because there is so much of that like spiritual bypassing and like toxic spirituality where it's like, oh, well, if you don't have the dream man, it's because you're just not good at manifesting. You can't hold a good vibration. Or if you don't have this, then that. Or if you're sick, it's because you're not doing this enough. And it's like, it's just so toxic. It's so gross. Like, let's be real. If it was that simple to clear this stuff out, then we all would have done it by now. But that's not why we're here. It's just like how you said your companion chose, well, I'm going to go this way because it's going to create a more expansive opportunity for us as souls. That's why we're here. We are part of a macroorganism that is the universe, and the whole purpose is to grow and expand. Just like a tree, just like a seed, that is its program to grow. And so that's what we're here for.
Yes, but how does a diamond become sparkly? It has to be in the dirt first, doesn't it?
How do we expand? We have to have contrast. We have to have stuff that we don't like, So we ask for more. That's how we grow.
Yeah, that's right. And the soul doesn't see it as negative or positive. It just wants
Correct.
the experience, right? So by experiencing it all means that your soul is growing. And I think potentially, really, there's some logic to this. The deeper the trauma that you've gone through, the deeper the more sparkly your soul is, the more potential you really have. It's just, let's clear the old stuff. And why haven't you manifested the guy that you want, that you deserve? Why do you keep manifesting toxic relationships? Well, that was me. And I had to have hypnotherapy for why do I keep? And it was because as a child, I'd learned that love is painful. And so I kept getting
what you believed, right? We will create what we believe.
I didn't know I believed that, but it came into being when I was about 3 or 4. And it was sort of cemented in. Once you believe the belief, it just keeps, it's true.
Then it will continue to prove that you're right.
Till I was 47, yes.
Yeah. Gosh, I find that
Living it all, Nancy, is easy, really. It's just you've got to want to do the work. It's not really work. You've got your eyes closed talking to me.
Sure.
So it's not really work, but it's using your subconscious mind, because it knows how, when, where, why all of it began.
Yes.
Why not work with that? We don't need to second guess it. Your subconscious mind has been recording everything since the day you were born, and even before that, like you said, you've got that memory of a past life. So by being in your subconscious, it's just going to bring these memories to you. I hadn't even thought of that. Not being able to talk in public was about having a maths question thrown at me when I was 5, and I got it right, but then I got finding the coins in the tray I didn't get right, because I was looking for an actual coin. I was looking for the 3p, which doesn't exist, and I hadn't realized at 5 years old I needed to make it up with a 2 and a 1. But I worked in the bank for 18 years. I got the hang of it, but my subconscious mind was still holding on to, when you stand up and you're made to feel silly, you can't do that. So it's doing everything it can so I got like an asthma attack trying to speak in public, to make me sit down a lot. I'm not doing it because I can't speak and breathe.
And it's all to try to keep us safe, right? I mean, this is what the ego does. It's like I always say, our ego is kind of like our bouncer, our little personal private bouncer. It's like, that thought is dangerous. We don't want it. Like, get that one out of there, because it's contradicting what we believe that keeps us safe.
That's all it's doing. It's a protection, or it can be like a little punishment sometimes. Like, you've got to get in there first and punish you because it's going to hurt them. Then if someone else, right?
Sabotage, ruin it for yourself, because now we're at least we're the ones in control. So that makes it better that the relationship ended because of us instead of them being able to reject us. It's kind of wild how our brains do that kind of stuff. I mean, it really, really is so fascinating.
No, it's not logical. It's emotional. It's emotionally driven. And that's why emotion over logic, emotion will always win. Because the language of the subconscious, it just knows what it wants. But it's not.
The emotions are what also activate the body. Like emotion, fear is an emotion, right? So a situation happens, we immediately get activated or triggered. And then there goes the lizard brain. It's like, we got this. We're going to go handle this exactly how we used to and recreate the exact same scenario that we already had.
But the body is the link between the conscious and subconscious mind. So it's dropping it in to alert you what's going on. And emotions are energy in motion, aren't they? And when it doesn't feel nice, like guilt, grief, rage, whatever, doesn't feel good, so we tend to push it down, and then it doesn't flow, when actually all our emotions need to do is just be felt.
And then so because they're not felt or processed, they're manifesting in the body. Is that what that's how they're getting our attention that way?
It's like trapped wind. We all know how painful that is, don't we? And it's the same thing, it's just trapped emotion, stuck, causing your bones problems, joint problems about feeling undervalued. So it's all that. That's all that's going on. There's just an emotional stuff behind the physical conditions that you're experiencing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I've loved this conversation because again, like I said, I've always really more looked at things externally and seeing it from the internal and that more biofeedback understanding that we do have the same amount of control over our physical reality inside our body as we do with what we create externally. So
Yeah.
that's just,
Yeah, predominantly, yes. If we weren't born with it, it's something we've acquired. And if we acquired it, we can let go of it. That's kind of the general rule, really, general rule of thumb.
yeah. Do you have, outside of your daughter, do you have a story with a client that is just kind of one of those stories that's like, this was amazing, or it was something that you just feel like it's so powerful to share?
Okay, there's loads. Oh my goodness, which one should I pick? Is there a particular issue you'd like me to talk about?
I mean, of course, my first thought is hair loss, but I know that that's not a super common thing for a lot of people. So maybe something pretty chronic.
Okay. Well, I had
chronic illness.
Okay. How about this guy that I work with quite a big at the beginning, really, and he'd got psoriasis all over his body. He'd had it for about 20 years, and he tried all the medication. Now, we used to work together, and his first conversation when I did a normal job, his conversation with me was, I understand your daughter's on methotrexate, which is the drug that she was on. My doctor's just told me to go on that. What do you think to it? I went, okay, not a lot. Anyway, so I said, well, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what to do or not to do. But what I can tell you is that that skin issue, I think, again, this is before I wrote my book and all the rest of it. I'm still sort of exploring at this point. So I said, well, I think I can help you because I think it's emotional. And he goes, well, I don't think so, because he's, guy. I don't think it is. I think it is. I would like to have a session with you. And tell you what, I'll have your photographs on my website when I've got my website up. I have now, but back then I hadn't. And then if we can do this together, I'll have your photographs and you get health. How about that? How does that sound? He goes, yeah, okay. So I said, right, well, what do you do? I said, well, it's hypnotherapy. Oh, you're going to make me look like a chicken. No, I'm not going to make you look like a chicken. That's stage hypnosis.
Yeah, that's Hollywood.
All I'm going to do is just you are talking to me with your eyes closed. So I gave him a recording to listen to, which is called Set You Up for Success. So he gets used to my voice and the method I used before we work together. And you listen to that for about a week before we have our session. So when we have our session together, it's like, oh, I know what I'm doing, instead of what the heck. Anyway, so I got him to relax, and this was in person, because now I do it all on Zoom, but that was in the beginning. And so we got him relaxed, and we were going into the scenes, and I said it was really about childhood. His brother just doing stuff made him feel angry just because he felt powerless, and all the stuff helpless around it. And I said, oh, isn't this interesting? Every time the sessions we've gone, the scene's anger. You're angry about your brother. You're angry because your mum didn't back you up. You're angry. Isn't it interesting? Look how angry your skin looks. Isn't that curious? And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess. So that was interesting. And then we cleared the emotions because he's not 6. And what happened was he remembered in the session that the psoriasis started at the top of his leg, which was where the plaster cast was, because he broke his knee in his 20s. And he fell off a chair in a pub, I think. So broke his knee, and the psoriasis started to distract him from his painful knee. Now, his knee had healed like 20 years ago. It still carried on because he'd got the emotional stuff, the anger in him from childhood. And he also was a bit angry because he broke his knee on the chair and everybody was looking at him and talking about it. So we able to release all those emotions. And then I said to him, is it ready to go? And he goes, yes. I said, okay, because the subconscious mind loves imagery. So I said, what does it need to do to let go of you? And he just said, I just need to imagine myself having a cleansing bath. That's brilliant. Skeptical, he's doing it. So he just closed his eyes, and he just kept his eyes closed, and he just and then he opened his eyes really quickly, and he said, what the did you just do to me? because it felt it go. What the F did you just do? That's what he actually said. And because he felt the relief in that session. My daughter did as well. When she had, I asked her what she needed to do to let go of it, because the subconscious loves imagery. And she just said, I just need to tie it to a pink helium balloon and watch it float away. She's such a girl. So she imagined this pink helium balloon, watch it float away. And as she was doing that, she was moving all her body. And I said, what was that all about? You were moving really weirdly. She said, oh, all my joints were just clicking back into place, Mum. I was sort of, are you having me on? This was the first session, don't forget. Are you having me on? Are you just winding me up? You're just playing me? I'm not sure. And then she ran down the stairs, which she never did. She was always sort of hobbled down the stairs. She ran down the stairs. She started to kneel on the floor, and she goes, look at me, Mum. I don't kneel, do I? And I'm like, oh, I don't remember you kneeling. She goes, because I don't, because it hurt. Look at me.
Yeah. Wow.
Starting to believe you now, but before I was sort of just thinking she's just play acting, you know, she's just so. And she's been pain free, symptom free since then, and medication free, which is even better. So no symptoms from that either. Yeah, that was those two were like, oh, this is something special, but it should be normal. But there was another lady right in the very beginning as well who got post-traumatic stress, and her husband just like, deal with her, I don't know what else to do. And that was face to face as well, and she hadn't forgotten what that was about, because it was really traumatic. She was held at knife point when she was 6 on the way to get an ice cream, but clearing it all, she was still like clutching her hands and shaking and all this sort of stuff. And I just and oh, but he might come back, and oh, but and I'm like, can I just stop you there? Can I just tell you what I see? And she says, yeah, all right. I said, well, I see if you can get away from a man with a knife when you were 6, what else can you do? How amazing. I actually feel quite humbled that you're in my room, actually, that I'm in your presence. I think you're amazing. And she said, oh, do you? I said, yeah. How incredible. What a plucky 6-year-old. You got away from him. Then you went to get to the ice cream man, and you got help from him. And he called the police. How amazing are you? And so she saw it. She started to believe it and sort of see herself. Said, come on, you're a mum now. If your child had done that, what would you think? And she said, yes, actually, if I saw it as my daughter doing that, wow, that's incredible. I said, yes, you are. And then at the end of the session, we sort of made quite a bit of noise, actually, but I was in a place that did nails and massage and stuff like that. Anyway, so we walked down the stairs, and she stopped dead right near the stairs on the way out, and she looked in the mirror, stopped to look in the mirror. She said, I never look in the mirror. But she said, you see that? And she pointed to the top of her lip, and I said, no, what's that? She goes, that's the scar I got from the attack. I never look in the mirror because, I don't like it. Actually, she stopped and looked herself dead in the eye, and she said, that's my warrior wound. And I said, yes, darling, absolutely it is. You are so amazing. And then she said, do you know what I'm going to do now? And I said, no, I've got no idea. She said, I'm going to go out and buy my son a birthday card. I'm going to leave here. I'm buying my son a birthday card because it's his birthday next week. And I said, oh, that's amazing. That's great. Well done. See you later. She got hold of me. She's only 5 foot nothing. I'm 5'10". And she more or less shook me and said, you don't understand. I said, what? She said, I haven't been shopping on my own for like 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to go shopping on my own now and buy my son a birthday card. Oh, that's quite big, isn't it? It's quite something. And she goes, yes, right. Yes, it is. And now she's a landscape gardener, loving her life. She's got her own van with all her own tools. Her diary's fully booked, and she's just having an amazing time. She goes and watches her son do the stock car racing as well. I don't think I could watch my son do that. But she does that every week or whenever they race. And she's just enjoying life to the full, to the max. Isn't that incredible? Yeah. And that was one session. It just shows you how powerful our minds are when we
They really, really are. Before we wrap up, I did want to touch back to something that we actually talked about before we started recording. I thought it was really fascinating, and I think it might speak to someone in the audience, where when you started explaining to me about the hypnotherapy and you kept kind of seeing that popping up into your reality, as you were asking for a solution, but every time that one kept popping up, you were kind of like, no thanks, no thanks, because you thought it was a little bit too woo-woo described, which is something that we talk about here on this podcast, is how there's so much resistance to quote unquote alternative therapies because we're told they are too woo or too out there. And so I just wanted to kind of ask you to talk about that for the audience and how your perspective on that shifted through the process of your training and the work that you do.
Yeah, I think it didn't really change that much on the training I did, because I was still looking because the training I'd got was hypnotherapy the first year, counselling years 2 and 3. So I was still really focused on that. And the course I was doing live was very basic hypnotherapy. So it didn't really shift the gears the way the advanced one does. So I've forgotten the question. Tell me again.
No, it's really more for like those that might be watching this or might be interested. Yeah. How do they overcome this fear of woo?
Yes, well, that's right. But the thing is, the subconscious mind is yours, and it's amazing, and it's a natural, it's who we are. We've been programmed to look outside of ourselves all these years, when actually the answers are within us. We're way more powerful than we've been led to believe, way more powerful. And it reminds me actually of when I was going on the TV station to talk about my podcast, which is Transform and Thrive, where I talk about my clients and their healing journey with working with me. When I got there, I didn't know until I arrived, otherwise I'd have cancelled this and never bothered, because it was a train ride and all sorts of things to get there. But what I could say to the presenter was, now what I wanted to say was, Emily overcame her autoimmune disease by working with me. We did hypnotherapy or something along those lines. What I could say, this is what I could say. My daughter's health was benefited by working with me. Not what I did, just that it benefited. Not that we released an autoimmune disease. I couldn't say autoimmune. I could just say her health. I had a very scripted amount of what I could say. And if I'd known that I could only say her health was benefited by working with me,
sure,
I wouldn't have bothered. But it just shows you how the media limits what we know, what we're told. I think the labels of alternative and complementary make you believe they're sort of less than, when actually we're working with the mind, all the holistic stuff. It's whole, it's working with the mind, body, spirit. It's working with all of you. So you get into the root, you get into what's going on in the whole holistic stuff, because it's all plays in a part. Everything plays a part. It all feeds into each other, doesn't it? And yet when you go, I'm not dismissing, medication's got its place, but it's not going into the root of it. It's basically putting a band-aid on it, rather than getting to the root of why is it there? What's it telling you? What's going on? What was going on emotionally when this thing began, when this stuff began? What was going on for you? That's a great question. You never get asked that, do you? And then you start going, oh, well, that's when I went through a divorce. Well, that's about the time I had the car accident, and money was tight and my kids were whatever, or and that's when you go, is it linked? Yes.
Yeah.
Scoliosis, that's the word that I was going to say, and I was trying to think of. Scoliosis is the relationship we have with our parents. It's back issues, so it's about feeling unsupported, but it is about the relationship you have with your parents. So anything, and it usually happens around teenage years or just pre-puberty. So that's what's going on there. So I was on a train journey down to London the other day, and I was sitting next to a lady, and she just happened to start telling me about her health issues and her daughters and all this sort of thing. And we were
I feel like
having
that
a great.
happens to people that are healers in any kind of way. It's like people just know, they just know, and they start talking.
I can't remember how we got on the subject, but it's quite curious how it happens, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Well, gosh, thank you so much for being here with me today. One of the things I like to do to kind of end things, I like to ask everyone the same question just to get your perspective on it. So as women, as you already said, like media and things, it kind of skews the concept of certain things for us. So I would love to know, in your personal opinion, how would you define success?
That's a good question. I wish I'd got some thought around having time to think about it. But success.
I like to take you all right in the moment.
Success is, I think it's about how the whole part of your life. So it's about time, money, freedom. It's about living the life that you enjoy living, that you don't want to escape from. I mean, having a holiday, vacation is wonderful, but not if you want to keep escaping your reality.
Yeah.
It's about, loving the life that you live. That's what success is.
I love that. I love it. Yeah. So it's not, I feel like so much in our society, it's like the house or the money or this. And this has been a common answer where it's more pertaining to success is living the life that you love and feeling fulfilled and happy. Like that's been the general consensus. So I love that. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see everybody on the next episode.
You're very welcome. And they've got a free gift if anybody's listening.
Right.
They can have. I've just recently recorded the releasing the belief of not being good enough, and not feeling good enough is the wound that underpins so much. And it's really, really important. So I've just recorded it, and it's going to be on sale for around £20. But for your audience, and for the moment, it will be free. So,
thank you. That's amazing. So we'll make sure to link that in the description so everybody can get theirs and start on their transformation journey.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute delight talking with you, Nancy. Thank you for inviting me.
You too. See you all soon.